Okay, thank you. Hello all. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to Teams Nation. And we are here to present our session on building apps for Teams meeting. So whenever we join any of the Microsoft Teams meetings, it is not just about having a conversation with the other parties or other colleagues in the team just to have the voice or video call with them, but it is more about how we are able to collaborate with them, and then again how we are able to create the engaging experience with them through those Teams meeting. And just an extension to this is like there are various apps available from Microsoft Teams which we can easily embed into Microsoft Teams, and then again Microsoft Teams meeting specifically, and then we'll be able to create that kind of an engaging and more collaborative experience. So it is not just about the apps which are available as a first party apps from Microsoft, but at the same time, we will be able to build our own apps, integrate that into Microsoft Teams meeting, and we will be able to deliver that user-friendly experience to our end users. So we will see how we will be able to create those apps for our Microsoft Teams meeting. All right. So the agenda for this session is we will see the meeting app extensibility, how we'll be able to extend our meetings by adding the app functionality to it. Then what are the API references that we will need to get it done. And then we will see how we can enable as well as configure all of the apps for Microsoft Teams meeting. So here we are going to talk about both the scenarios, that creating the app natively for Microsoft Teams itself. At the same time, how we'll be able to create the apps using SharePoint framework, and then able to use it as the meeting app extensibility. And then we promise you to have this with all of the demos. But before starting the session, quick introduction. Myself, Nandadeep Nathan. I am Microsoft MVP for Office Apps and Services, as well as Microsoft Certified Trainer. I'm from Pune, India. Author of couple of books on SharePoint framework as well as SharePoint hybrid. And onto the right hand bottom corner, here are a few of the social media handlers to get in touch with me. And with me today is Smita.
Hello, myself Smita Nathan. I'm from Pune, India. So I'm a Microsoft MVP and MCT, author of one book, and mostly I'm working with Office 365. And these are some of my social handles by which you can get in touch with me. So now let's see these apps for Teams meetings. So meetings enables the collaboration, partnership, inform communications, and share the feedback. The meeting app can deliver a user experience for each stage of the meeting lifecycle, and the meeting lifecycle includes the pre-meeting, in-meeting, and post-meeting app experience depending on the attendee status. So to enhance your meeting experience by using the meeting extensibility features, these features enables you to integrate your apps within meetings. It also includes different stages of the meeting lifecycle where you can integrate the tabs, bots, and messaging extensions. You can identify various participants' roles and user types. You can get meeting events and generate in meetings dialogues. So the user can access the apps during a meetings using the tab gallery from their calendar, such as pre-stage a carbon board, launch an in-meeting actionable dialogue, create a post-meeting survey.
So as you see onto the screen, this one is an illustration which is directly taken from the Microsoft documentation. This gives you clear idea of how the meeting apps extensibility features work. So all of the meetings app extensibility has got something to do with meeting context. So whenever we join any of the meeting, that specific meeting has got meeting context, which can give us more information about the attendees of that meeting, then their information as well as the meeting information, at the same time presentation status and many other things. So all of those app extensibility points will give us or make us the meeting context aware. Secondly, that it helps us to plan the meeting life cycle, because it is not just about coming on time to attend the meeting, but meeting has got its own life cycle. We have few kind of an events which we can consider as a pre-meeting kind of an experience, where the attendees could ask some kind of a question to the other attendees as well as to the organizer of the meeting to set the context for that meeting. At the same time, whenever some everyone joins the meeting, it is kind of an in meeting kind of an experience where everything will be planned, and again there might be some surveys or anything else that the meeting organizer will be able to promote to the attendees. the other attendees. At the same time, once we are done with the meeting, there is a afterlife for this meeting as well, wherein we can share maybe the surveys or maybe the outcome of the meeting. So meeting is not just about that specific duration of the time where we join the meeting and leave the meeting, but it is all about maintaining the life cycle of that meeting. And this app extensibility help us to create those kind of an experiences for all of the meeting life cycles, including the pre-meeting, in-meeting, and post-meeting kind of an life cycle. So then how does it make it enable for us? So it does it by integrating the tabs, bots, and messaging extension. So we will be able to create these tabs, bots, or messaging extension, and then we'll be able to embed those into our meetings so that we'll be able to carry out that experience of pre, post, and in meeting kind of an experience. And all of those apps are optimized for meeting experiences so that it will be very much simple process that just go to the apps, add that app, get it added to your meeting, and then it will be aware of the entire meeting context and drive you through all of the endpoints which are specific to your meeting. So you can get the meeting events arranged, and then you can simply add this app to your meeting, and then they will do all that trick to create that engaging experience. So at the same time, for the in-meeting kind of an experience, which is very much crucial, because whenever we are in the meeting, we should involve the participant by creating some kind of a dialogue so that we'll be able to get more information from them. Because not every attendee is of same nature. There might be few who just like to present the ideas, or maybe the one who probably not speak up directly, and but they would like to give the open feedback as well. So for those all kind of an attendees, we can have some kind of an in-meeting dialogue from where we'll be able to get more information from them. At the same time, each of the participant has got a specific role, which we will discuss in the subsequent slide. So these meeting apps can also fetch all those participant role, and based on the role which they are playing into the meeting, they will be able to play with that app. At the same time, this app extensibility also provides notification to the users about the start of the meeting, end of the meeting, as well as any of the postages being done for that particular specific meeting. At the same time, you can even extend it to create the custom scenes for your meeting as well, if you want to add your organization brands or anything to your meetings. So all of these points constitutes the meeting app kind of an experiences through which we'll be able to extend it and create the engaging experience for our users.
So let's say the unified meetings apps concepts. So the Teams unified meetings apps are the based on the few concepts. So meeting lifecycle has a different stages like a pre-meeting, in-meeting, and post-meeting. So you can integrate the tabs, bots, and messaging extension in each of stage of the meeting lifecycle. So there are three distinct participant roles in a meeting. First one is organizer, then presenter, and then the attendee. So the organizer schedules a meeting, sets the meeting options, assigns the meeting roles, and starts the meeting. The users with Microsoft 365 accounts and a team license can only be the organizers, and the control attendees the permissions. A meeting organizer can change the settings for a specific meeting, and the organizer can make these changes on the meeting options web page. When it's come to the presenters have the same capabilities of the organizers with exclusions. A presenter can't move an organizer from the session or modify meeting options for this session. By default, participants joining a meeting have the presenter role. When it's come to the attendee, so an attendee is a user who has been invited to attend a meeting, but attendees are not authorized to act as a presenter, and attendees can interact with other meeting members but cannot manage any of the meeting settings or share the contents. So there are different user types in a meeting with their accessibility and the performance. So in tenant, user belongs to the organization and have the credentials in a Microsoft Azure Active Directory for the tenant. So they are full-time on-site or remote employees. An in-tenant user can be an organizer, presenter, or attendee. When it comes to the guest, a guest is a participant from another organization invited to access the teams or the other resources in the organization's tenant. So the guests are added to the organization's Azure Active Directory and have a same team capability as a native team member, and they have access to the team's chat, meeting and files. A guest can be an organizer, presenter or an attendee. Then we have this federated or external. A federated user is an external Teams user in another organization who has been invited to join a meeting. Federated users have valid credentials with federated partners and are authorized by the teams. They don't have access to your teams or other shared resources for your organization. So the guest access is a better option for external users to have access to teams and the channels. So your team users can add apps when they host meetings or chats with other organizations. The users can use the app shared by the external users when your users join the meetings or chat hosted by other organizations. The data policies of the hosting users organizations as well as the data sharing practices of the third party app shared by the user organizations will be in effect. When it comes to the anonymous, so the anonymous users don't have an Azure Active Directory identity and are not federated with a tenant. The anonymous participants are like external users, but their identity is not shown in the meeting, and the anonymous users can't access the app in a meeting window. An anonymous user can't be an organizer but can be a presenter or attendee. So let's see this pre-meeting experience. So this pre-meeting with this pre-meeting app experience, you can find and add the meeting apps. You can also do pre-meeting tasks such as developing a poll to survey the meeting participants.
All right, so with that, let's have a look at how simply we'll be able to add the existing or first-party apps available from Microsoft into the Teams to create some more engaging experience. So for that, let me just go to my Microsoft Teams. So here is my Microsoft Teams, and this is one of the invite that I just have sent to another user in my tenant. So what I will do is probably I will not join that meeting because I just want to create a pre-meeting kind of an experience. So I will just expand this meeting, or maybe you can click on edit. So at the top of this meeting, you can see a plus icon from where we'll be able to add a tab, which is nothing but an app. So once you click on that, we will be able to select any of the existing apps which are available here. At the same time, we will see how we'll be able to create our own app and then also embed it here to create that in-meeting, post-meeting or pre-meeting kind of an experience. So let's say we want to enable everyone to use the forms in our meeting. We can just simply go ahead, click that forms and click add here. So that forms will be just available here as a tab. So everyone who is going to attend that particular meeting will have an access to this particular form or particular app which is called as in forms or polls, and then from here probably it is a good thing that you will be able to create the experience as a pre-meeting kind of an experience. But what we will do is instead of just going through all of this, we will see how we'll be able to create those engaging kind of an customized experience by ourselves. But at the same time, maybe look out for all of the apps which are available, which we will be able to easily add as a tab inside your meeting, and then those can help you to create the engaging experience for your attendees. So with that, let's get into the in-meeting app kind of an experience.
So with the in-meeting app experience, you can engage the participants during the meeting by using the apps and in-meeting dialog box. So meeting apps are hosted on the toolbar of the meeting window as an in-meeting tab. So use the in-meeting dialog box to showcase the actionable content for the meeting participants. And then let's check for this post meeting app experience. So with the post meeting app experience, you can view the results of the meeting such as poll, survey results or feedback. The image on the slide displays the Contoso tab with the results of poll and feedback received from the meeting attendees.
So now that we have a basic understanding of how the app experience is for pre-meeting, post-meeting, and in-meeting kind of an experience. So we will go into a few of the demos and see how we'll be able to create those kind of an customized experiences for our users. So the demo which I'm going to currently show you is about the meetings content bubble, which is available onto the Microsoft repository. The link is here available onto the GitHub. So So from this link, you will be able to get into the code section of that. But simply let's see like what is meant by that sample. So the in-meeting dialogues or the content bubble is very much helpful to show the content prompt and collect the feedback from the users during the meeting. So this one is an in-meeting kind of an app experience. So what we need to do that, or firstly, let us do one thing. Let us walk through the demo of this, and then we will see how this particular content bubble experience can be created or customized. So again, as I said, this is the meeting that I have created, and this particular meeting has been sent to one of my colleague called as Debra. So what we will do is we will use this desktop experience for the organizer. And then here is the attendee Debra who has got the invite. Okay. So what I will do is I will just use this particular meeting. I will click on join so that this particular meeting will be joined by the organizer. Let me just click on join now. So the organizer has joined this particular meeting. At the same time, I will go ahead and join this meeting in a browser with a user called as Debra. So let him join too. All right, so now that we have both the users joined on the same meeting, and now that we want to add few of the apps here so that we'll be able to create the in-meeting kind of an experience. So again, it is simple that wherever we want to add any of the app, we can just click onto this more, or even in case you might be able to see the plus icon here. So just click on that add an app from here. All of the apps which are available to you or which you have been recently used within your meeting, you will be able to see that. If in case you don't see that app appearing here, that means you haven't accessed that frequently or recently. In that case, just click on the more apps. So this will take you to the screen wherein you will be able to see all of the apps which are available for your organization. And then from here, we have one of such app called as Content Bubble Demo, which is from the Microsoft repository. So we'll just click on that particular app. And again, we have option here to get that app added to a team, to a chat, or to a meeting. So we will select the last experience to the meeting because we want to add this particular app onto our meeting. And then from here, I will select the meeting which is the current going on meeting. I guess yeah, it is the one at the top, and then I will just set up this one as a bot there. So now that you can see that this particular meeting has been set up, and then this is the experience for the organizer. This is the experience for the attendee. So let me just bring up the currently active users in this meeting too. All right. So now that what will happen is that let me just open up the chat window for both the users. So now that the organizer has got a capability to add the app. So what we can do from here is that this is the bot, which is content bubble demo bot. So I will just invoke that particular bot to ask us to give us some kind of an agenda for that, which is a pre-coded agenda into this app. So once I do that, it will take some time and then it will post the agenda onto the meeting. So this is the experience that we see. But now that let me just switch to the organizer experience. So this is the organizer experience that we see on the screen. So here we can see that we have the agenda being shown here. So the agenda gives three options, and then we can push any of the agenda to the user. So one limitation of this particular app is like this doesn't give the um, good experience for the web as of now, but at least for example, if you are using these apps onto your desktop or mobile experiences, it will have the native experience for you. So let's say for example we want to push any of the agenda. I will just click on this agenda, which is to continue with the work from home for next 3 months, and then I will select the agenda, click on push agenda. So this particular agenda should appear as a pop-up, which is a content bubble to all of the users. So what we are doing simply here is that we want to get the intentions of the users or maybe feedback from the user of what they do think about this particular agenda. So they will be given the option of yes or no, or maybe again these are customized based on what kind of an options you want to present to your attendees. So this is the attendee experience that we have. At the same time, let's see the experience which is for the attendees. So sorry. So this was the organizer kind of an experience, and this is the attendees kind of an experience. So as I said, with the browser, we still have some kind of an limitations. It doesn't give us the proper bubble kind of an experience to the users, but they will have the experience of seeing the adaptive card in the chat message. Okay, so what we will do from here is that we'll simply switch back to the organizer and we will say yes, and we will submit this agenda. Okay, so this is something kind of an voting being done from each of the attendee onto your meeting. So this particular organizer has voted yes to continue work from home for next 3 months, and then again we will have the same kind of an voting option. So as and when everyone in the meeting keeps voting, they will, their responses will be visible to the other users. So now that, let's say for example, this user which is Zebra, who is just an attendee, he want to simply say no for this, he can select that particular option and click on submit. So even this particular response will be submitted, and then here we have a option to see that at least who has voted yes and who has voted no. Again, we can extend this particular app to show something called as an post-meeting kind of an experience, to summarize the voting from each of the user and then come to the conclusion based on the majority of votes being taken during the meeting. So again, if I switch back to the presenter, so this is the experience that will be for presenter, that we will be able to see the voting being done by the other users as well. So this is a simple experience through which we'll be able to add our apps into the Microsoft Teams meeting, and then we'll be able to push that experience to the users. So maybe instead of using the apps which are available out of the box, or maybe instead of just asking everyone about, hey, what you think about this particular option, it is always good thing that we should create some kind of an agenda, push those agendas to our participants, and then have their views. So this will help us to create that kind of an in-meeting experience, which is an engaging experience for everyone to go ahead and vote instead of asking everyone what do they think. Because again, getting a bulk kind of an feedback from everyone is quite difficult. So this kind of an in-meeting apps will play a crucial role in those kind of an circumstances wherein we want to get some kind of an inputs from the users or from all of the attendees and make some powerful decisions. So this is kind of an experience that we will get, which is a powerful experience to create the voting experience and then come to the conclusion. So with that, let's quickly see the code behind for this, okay? Because I know that most of the people here will be interested to see the code part of it. So again, all of these apps that we see, they can be built onto the Visual Studio, or even they can be built using Node.js module. So for example, if you are a fan of Node.js or open source contribution, in that case, probably you can go ahead with Node.js based development. Or for example, if you are very much comfortable using .NET, in that case, Microsoft also gives you the flexibility to code in .NET. So before we jump into the code, let me just show you the background for this. So let me just go into here. Let me just open up the Azure portal. So this is the experience which involves few of the components from Azure as well. So since this one is a bot, we obviously need something called as a Azure bot. So for example, if you have previously created the bots, this is the same kind of an experience that we have got. So let me just get into this resource group, which is for meeting content bubble. So this one is a simple kind of an experience where you can see that we just have one app service where the entire code which we see here is running from the Visual Studio Code, the compile code from Visual Studio Code. And then we do have this bot, which is nothing but the meeting content bubble bot. And this is the bot which we have configured here, which is pushing the agenda. So we just have called this bot, and that bot has pushed the agenda. So these are the only two components which are needed to create this kind of an experience. So let's get into each of these and see how will we are or how in the backend they are working. So it is simple that if you want to create an Azure bot, you can simply click on create, select the Azure bot, and then you can create either a single tenant or a multi-tenant kind of an bot. Once the bot is ready, the experience will be something like this, that you will be able to see the messaging endpoint and everything. So messaging endpoint is something which is configurable and which can be configured from this configuration tab. So once you get into the configuration tab, here you can specify the messaging endpoint. So this is the endpoint where your bot will receive all of the notification. At the same point, this is the endpoint from where bot will be able to communicate with the other applications. So all of those messaging endpoints are always ending with /API/messages. So now that, for example, if you are building this kind of an experience for the first time, probably I will say in that case you can start with that kind of an experience onto local development with something called as a ngrok or ngrok, whatever you can call it. So which is a simple utility which will help you to tunnel all of your public request to the local channel, so that it will be easy for you to debug your code, and then you will be able to build those beautiful application. And once you are ready with your code, probably then you can deploy that onto the Azure website and provide the URL of that Azure website here. So now that we have this code running onto the Azure website, and simply the messaging endpoint for that bot is /API/messages. The other thing now here is that to get authenticated to this particular endpoint, we will need the app ID as well as the app secret. So this is the Microsoft app ID that we see here. Once you click onto the manage, you will be taken to the certificates and secrets part. So from here, if you have a certificate, probably you can add that certificate here, or you can simply go ahead and create a new client secret, which can expire maximum up to 24 months. And then you will get one value which is a one-time value which will be shown here. So just copy that, because the next time when you will come to this interface again, you will be just uh, shown with first three characters, and the other ones will be hashed. So whenever you will create that new client secret, just copy it down so that you will be able to use that in your application. The other part for this particular app is the channels. So now that we have our bot ready, but now that to which channels we want to channelize this particular bot. So there are various channels available for this bot, including Alexa, Direct Line, Line, even Telegram, or many. But the one which is important for us is this Microsoft Teams. So you can just add that channel as a Microsoft Teams, so that from Microsoft Teams, this particular bot will be able to connect onto the Teams channels, Teams bots, or one-to-one kind of a conversation. So these are the two important things when it comes to the Azure bot registration. And then the other part which we just saw was this app service. So this particular app service has been created with the .NET Framework 3.1 version. At the same time, for example, as I said, if you are a fan of Node.js based or JavaScript based code, in that case, even you can create that app service based on the JavaScript framework, and then you can publish the code here, and then the endpoint can be configured into your Azure bot to make it work. So now that for this particular example, we have the code being developed into the .NET. So here we do have examples of two .NET codes and then one JavaScript based code, because I wanted to have the mix of both. So coming to this code walkthrough of this content bubble demo, which we have seen, which is a very much simple code. So this is the solution structure that we see here. So we do have a bots, we do have few of the cards which we have seen, and then we have a controller. And then this manifest is the file, or which is the zip which will be uploaded into Microsoft Teams. So the major part here is with this bot, which is doing the major work for us by pushing the agenda. And as I said, that agenda which we have seen here, which is, for example, approving the dividend or increasing the research budget or continue work from home, all of those kind of an activities are coming from here as a hard coded kind of an list. But at the same time, we have we have no endless possibilities. We'll be able to do it dynamically as well. But just to keep it simple, all of those are coming here as a static messages. And then once we click on the message onto the button to push the agenda, it is simply pushing that agenda through this JSON, which is available here. And then all of the card that we see in the user experience is being driven by this JSON. So here we see the agenda items, the topic and the IDs, and then we see the action at the end, which is submit action to push the agenda. So this is the experience that we see. So all this experience is driven by this JSON based card. So again, JSON is very much important whenever we are dealing with Microsoft apps related things. So it simply pushes that particular JSON, and then the in-meeting dialog is presented with by a regular bot framework code, which is we see here probably onto line number 74, which is turn context dot send activity sync. So this is the code which will be presented by the regular bot framework. Okay, so with the updated Teams channel data. So this is the Teams channel data that we have got. And then if you have a specifically look at this external resource which is being shared, so this one is taking the reference of the teams.microsoft.com/bubble, which is our customized shared model that we have here, content bubble. And then we do have a reference to the configs Microsoft app ID, which we just have seen into the Azure portal, and then followed by the URL of the content bubble, which is again our content bubble page, which we see, which is our model driven page here. So this means that the contents of the in-meeting dialogues have been hosted in our app, and then we'll be able to customize that based on our need. And whenever someone submits any of the feedback, we get that feedback from this particular code, line number 77 to 79, and then we are simply processing that code to simply show that this particular person has voted for this feedback on this particular topic, which is the experience that we get here. So whenever someone gives the feedback, this is the message being posted from this line of code. So this is a simple kind of an experience which is act as an in-meeting kind of an experience. So we'll be able to create all those kind of an in-meeting kind of an experiences. So again, it is not just limited that an app can be specifically created for one kind of an experience, but again, one of the app can be created for multiple kind of an experience. So let's say, for example, we want to just have one app which will be created as an pre-meeting kind of an experience, wherein you will have some kind of an Kanban board being shown, and at the same time same kind of an app can be presented as the post-meeting kind of an app, where you will show all of the responses from the users based on the voting being carried out by the users. So it is not like that we should target one app for one scenario. One app can be targeted for multiple scenarios as well. So the second example that we will see now is this with meeting details tab, which is again a in-meeting kind of an experience. So this sample shows creating the polls in the meeting where the members of the meeting can answer the poll questions and also they can see the results. So let's first see how this app works, and then also we will have a quick code walkthrough of this. So again, for this, I will use the same meeting which is joined by the organizer as well as the attendee. All right, so the attendee experience is here. So what we will do here is again, we will go to the more and then we will click on add an app. So here, all of the apps that we have recently used being shown here. But if you want to see all of the apps which are available to us, in that case, click on onto the more app, and then all of the apps available to you from your organization, uh, as well as all of the apps which are available for your teams from the Power Apps or maybe Power Platform. At the same time, available from Microsoft or other partners, they will be seen here. So the apps that you have been customized created for your organizations can be seen here. And this is another example of the details tab from where we'll be able to create a survey kind of an thing. So simply I will add this to a meeting by selecting this kind of an experience. I will again go ahead, select the meeting where we are in, and then simply I will click on setup. So this will just set up a kind of an experience for the organizer so that that organizer will be able to create some kind of an polling experiences. So let's click save to continue. And here we have option to add the agenda to our meeting. So I just want to keep it light. I will just ask like, how is the weather? Okay, and then I will just give the two options, hot and cold, and then I will just create this one as a polling experience. So right now, again, I want to pay the attention that this is the organizer window where we don't have anything as of posted yet, and this one is the window of the attendees where we don't have anything posted yet. So what we will do now is that, again, let us go back to that app, and then we will click on send. So this card will be sent as an adaptive card onto our meeting, which is a details tab here. So this is the experience for the organizer. At the same time, even this should be available to our user, okay, or the attendee. So from here, what we will do is probably the region from where this organizer is joining the meeting. For example, me, who is sitting at the hotel location in India. So I'll just click hot, and then I will click submit. So now that this response has been submitted, and here we can see the 100% has been answered as hot, because it is the only one person who has answered. So it is 100%. So let's say now that we again go back to the experience of this particular user. So here we are able to see the result itself, but at the same time, this attendee can, based on his region or from where he's joining the meeting from, he can select the weather and click on submit. So now that we have two responses here, and then based on the response from each of the user, that card will be posted, like how many people have voted for this option, how many people have voted for the other option. So this kind of an experience will give you both the experiences at one time, that you are able to create a in-meeting kind of an experience through which you are able to get the votes from your users. At the same time, this is kind of an end result of the voting done by your attendees, like how many things this one is the right answer, and how many things this one is the option to go ahead with, right? So this kind of an experience will also give you the capabilities to get the instant voting from the users and probably come up with some good decisions. So quickly going into the code of this particular app. Again, this is the same app being developed into the .NET and has got same kind of an experience. And then again, if you see, this is the send activity async kind of a method, wherein we are creating all of the experiences for the voting, and then we are simply sending that card to the user so that they can vote, and then the response whichever we get, we'll be able to capture it here, and then we'll be able to show that response, like how many percent of the user have voted for the option. So this is again a simple experience, just an extension to what we have seen in the previous demo. So now that quickly just coming to the last part of this session, that now that we have seen how we'll be able to build those applications natively in Microsoft Teams using .NET based code. But now that let's see, for example, if you're from the SharePoint background and you want to do something for Microsoft Teams, then how we will be able to build those Teams meeting kind of an apps with SharePoint framework. So again, SharePoint framework nowadays doesn't need any special introduction as such, but it is simply a modern kind of an technology or tools available to create the modern experiences for Microsoft Teams as well as for SharePoint as well. So with the release of SharePoint Framework version 1.12, it supports for Microsoft Teams meeting app kind of an development. So this offers again a more power to the developers so that they can now extend this SPFX web part into the Teams for building the meeting app kind of an experience. So this is a kind of a meeting app experiences wherein we will select the meeting, we will edit that meeting, we will again click onto the plus icon, all of the apps will be available, and then we will just simply select that particular app, which is SPFX web part, and we will add that particular web part to our meeting. So whenever we will add that particular web part onto the meeting, this is the experience that we will get. And then once it is added, this one is a kind of an new question kind of an app, wherein this one will act as a pre-meeting kind of an experiences. So the code for this particular app is available at this particular location, which is at the PNP repository submitted by us. So just have a look at that code, but simply let's see the experience first, and then we will have a code walkthrough. So for that reason, again, I will go back to the same meeting, which is joined by the organizer as well as the attendee. I will again click on more and then click on add an app. So from here, we'll be able to select the app by going to the more apps, but I'm just keeping it very much simple. And then I will just click on this meeting questionnaire here, which is the recent app that is being added. And then I will just simply click on add. So what it will do is it will just add this particular app into our meeting. But probably what I will do is let me just leave this meeting, because this particular app has been created with a significance of the pre-meeting kind of an experience. So probably I should not do the in-meeting kind of an experiences. Otherwise, it will give an indication that all of the apps are created as the pre in-meeting kind of an experiences only. So for this, again, I will go back to this particular meeting which is created. Let me go back to the calendar, uh, get to the meeting which was just created. I will just click on edit. I will click onto this plus icon one more time, and then we will select this meeting questionnaire. So this meeting questionnaire is kind of an app or a pre-meeting kind of an app, which will allow us to allow all of the attendees to ask the question prior the meeting starts, and then during the meeting the organizer can attend all those questions. So this is the experience that the user will get whenever they will see the meeting, and then simply the attendees or the organizer, they will be able to ask the question. So this is the organizer experience. What we will do is probably we will go back to the experience of the user. So here we do have the user experience or the attendee experience. So this is the meeting invite which the attendee has received. And again, here you will see that we have a tab available as the meeting questionnaire. So this particular app is a pre-meeting kind of an experience. That's the reason before the user or the attendee joins the meeting, he will get a chance to ask the question. So he will probably ask the question like recorded session, um, this meeting. Okay. So he can ask the question and then he can just simply save that. So this is a question being posted by this particular user. So now that let us come back to the experience of the organizer. So this is the organizer experience. If I again come back to this particular tab, even the organizer will be able to see that there is a person or the attendee called as Zebra who has posted this particular question. So the attendee can, sorry, the organizer can probably respond here itself, or he can have a private chat with that particular user, or maybe the organizer can decide to use this as an question to be considered during the in-meeting kind of an experience. So this one is the post-meeting kind of an experiences, but entirely created through SharePoint framework. So let's look at the code of that. So this particular SharePoint framework solution has been created with 1.12 version of it. And then again, we do have few of the pre-configured entries here for the title of that web part as well as description. And then again, this is the URL where we want to store all of the information about the questions being posted by the user. So this is the site URL slash, that means the root site URL where we are going to post or host all of the questions which are available. So, and simply that we do have a package JSON, which from here it will be clear to you that we are using SharePoint Framework 1.12. So SPFX version 1.12 onwards, we can create this kind of an app, which can be hosted as a app experiences for meetings. And then again, simply going to the code, we do have this code, which is a which is just a service to get the questionnaires from the list, which is available in root side of the SharePoint. Or at the same time, whenever someone will add the question, this is the API that will be called to store that particular questions into the SharePoint list. And then this is the app which is being created in the React kind of an uh, language. So through which we'll be able to use the Office UI Fabric controls as well, through which we are presenting all of the information in an activity. So for example, if I again go back to this experience, this is nothing but an activity kind of an control, which is available with Office UI Fabric. And then we also customize that by showing the link to the attendee, and then again the message which is posted by them, and then the date when it was posted. So this is kind of an experience that we'll be able to create for the users. So this one is nothing but a pre-meeting kind of an experience. but it is entirely driven using SharePoint. So again, just coming to the deployment part of it. So we doesn't need to do anything at the Microsoft Teams level. Once we just create a SharePoint solution package out of this solution and then add it to the SharePoint app level catalog. So we can simply click a button to sync to the Teams, and then this app will be available in Teams directly to have it available uh, as the app for Teams. And again, how this thing is happening is because of this manifest JSON. So this is the manifest JSON which is available for the entire functionality. So here we do have few of the configurable tabs. So here, this is the configuration URL which will help us to do the single sign-on kind of a thing for the users, so that even though the app is hosted in SharePoint framework, we'll be able to use the same kind of a login to get the user experience for users in Microsoft Teams. And then this is the context, and in this context we have it available as a channel tab, private tab, and then this meeting chat tab, as well as the meeting side panel or meeting details tab. And because of this reason, we are able to host this particular app as a meeting tab. So it is very much important that we should add all these values there, so that your SharePoint framework web part can be added as a tab or app inside Microsoft Teams. All right, so these are all of the experiences through which we'll be able to create the engaging experience for our users with the meeting app. So it is, again, just to reiterate, meetings are not just about those times when where we should join and just have a conversation, maybe a video or audio conversation, but it is about maintaining that entire life cycle of the meeting, like a pre-meeting, post meeting and in meeting kind of an experiences. So whenever we want to engage our users, get their feedback or get opinions from them, we can create this kind of an engaging app so that it can drive more user engagement. We'll be able to create polls and we'll be able to get their feedback, and those feedbacks will help us to create the business driven decision very easily. So these are few of the examples through which we'll be able to achieve that. So here are few of the references which we have used for this session. So you can, if you want to read more about how to create those apps for the meeting, as well as get into the basics of the meeting and then attend this role and everything, these are the references by which you will be able to read out more. And then again, these are the API references. For example, if you are a Microsoft Graph fan, and you want to uh, code your solution in the Graph APIs, in that case, here is a reference for those Graph APIs. And the team sample, which is available directly from Microsoft. So have a look at that team samples, because there are various good team samples available as an app, which will help you to drive more user engagement with pre-meeting, post-meeting, and in-meeting kind of an experiences. At the same time, there is a good Microsoft Learn module available for creating the interactive meeting apps for Microsoft Teams. So even have a look at that with this URL. I will keep it posted in the chat window as well. And with that, thank you very much for having us and listening to us. Hope you have enjoyed this session. And don't forget to rate our session. And these are the next calls to action. Rate this session, attend more sessions, and then show your love on social media by using the hashtag as well as mentioning the team session. All right. Thank you very much. And don't forget to rate our session by using this QR code or using this URL here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.